one of the most powerful queens of all time, and the last pharaoh of Egypt. She is still considered one of the most powerful and enigmatic female figures in history. In this new episode of the hero's journey, we'll tell the story of how Cleopatra VII ascended to the throne, becoming the last queen of the Ptolemaic dynasty and managed to recover an indebted kingdom. First and foremost, it's worth mentioning that in Greek, Cleopatra means glory of the father. But would her father be proud to know that Cleopatra was capable of assassinating her own brother to maintain power? Well, Cleopatra was the name of 7 queens of Egypt. The most well-known was indeed the last one who honored this name, Cleopatra VII. She dedicated her life fighting for Egypt's supremacy. But today, let's analyze why she was the only one among the 7 Cleopatras who managed to immortalize her name in history. Cleopatra VII spoke at least 8 languages, including Egyptian, which was rare among the Ptolemaic rulers, which usually stuck only to their Greek roots. Unlike her ancestry, Cleopatra embraced Egyptian culture, learning the language and participating in religious rituals. This cultural adaptation strengthened her appeal among the Egyptians and helped her consolidate her power. This ability not only facilitated direct communication with her subjects from different cultures, but also reinforced her role as an accessible and understanding leader. Even before ascending the throne, Cleopatra exhibited remarkable charisma and strong social skills. Her presence inspired loyalty and admiration, crucial elements for garnering internal and external support. Moreover, she always sought to visit the libraries of Alexandria to acquire new knowledge. She was versed in mathematics, astronomy, literature, and philosophy, making her an informed woman capable of making complex decisions from an early age. She was also educated in the art of diplomacy and military strategy. This comprehensive education not only prepared Cleopatra for the challenges of power, but also gave her a broad worldview, essential for governing one of the most culturally diverse kingdoms of all time. Another important factor that contributed to her becoming a respected queen was the fact that she demonstrated from an early age a sharp political intelligence, recognizing the importance of strategic alliances. Cleopatra ascended to the throne at the age of 18 and faced a war against her brother. Due to the conflicts between the young Queen Cleopatra and her brother's followers, she took advantage of her admirable political ability to use her power of seduction and persuasion to seek help from the Romans. The idea was to win the support of the Roman invaders for herself, overthrowing her brother, and from there, build a policy favorable to the people of Egypt. However, this alliance with the Romans was only possible thanks to Cleopatra's creativity and shrewdness. The power struggle between her and her brothers caused a strong political and economic instability in the region. Faced with this, she was eventually exiled and decided to seek Rome's assistance. Seductive and extremely intelligent, she knew how to make good use of the power she held. In an audacious and risky plan, she sent herself, wrapped inside a carpet, as a gift to Julius Caesar. After unwrapping herself from the carpet and catching the attention of her target, she argued that she was enchanted by the stories of his great achievements and thus wanted to get to know him more intimately. After that night, the arrow struck the heart of the target and both became lovers. It didn't take long for Julius Caesar to agree to help Cleopatra assassinate her brother in 51 BC. After this, she achieved her goal and became the queen and supreme ruler of Egypt. Next, she spent some time in Rome, where she gave birth to her first son, Caesarion. Under Cleopatra's rule, Egypt prospered and still maintained its independence from the growing Roman Empire, thanks to her leadership skills and good trade agreements. The ability to form and maintain strategic alliances was crucial during her reign. Cleopatra implemented economic and administrative changes that revitalized Egypt's economy, promoting agriculture, trade, and increased tax collection. These measures ensured economic stability and funded her ambitious construction projects and military campaigns. Cleopatra also skillfully cultivated an image of a semi-goddess, associating herself with the goddess Isis. This strategy reinforced her authority and legitimacy, as she not only presented herself as a divinely ordained ruler, but also as a protector and benefactor of her people. The queen also remained firm in her purpose of making Egypt a rich and prosperous land, even when her companion was assassinated. After Julius Caesar's assassination in 44 BC, the Roman Empire was divided, and the queen had been exiled to avoid a tragedy. However, she bravely returned to her homeland and was even more ambitious. When she learned that Mark Antony was the governor of the eastern part of the Roman Empire, Cleopatra knew she needed to seduce him and start a new romantic relationship with him to maintain her past achievements and prevent Egypt from regressing. But it wasn't just any seduction attempt. Cleopatra was summoned by Mark Antony for a meeting in Tarsus, modern-day Turkey. Understanding the importance of this meeting to make a good first impression, Cleopatra made her entrance in a theatrical and magnificent way, sailing upstream on a boat adorned with gold, itself perfumed, and herself dressed as Aphrodite, the goddess of love. This legendary and powerful arrival was calculated to impress and seduce Mark Antony, immediately establishing the dynamic of their relationship. Despite popular belief, there is no historical evidence that Cleopatra was actually of great beauty. In fact, some images of that time depict Cleopatra with a protruding chin and nose on her face. We must not forget that the beauty standards of that time were quite different from today's. The alliance with Mark Antony becoming her new companion was not just a matter of physical attraction. Cleopatra used her intelligence, culture, and conversational ability to captivate him. Her understanding of political and military affairs, combined with her diplomatic skills, allowed her to engage with Mark Antony as an equal. During the time they were in Alexandria, Cleopatra gave birth to 2 children by Mark Antony, who in return gave her the territories of Cyrene and others, which until that moment were under the dominion of the Roman Empire. However, Mark Antony's attitude, which increasingly allowed himself to be dominated by the queen's power of seduction, ended up generating serious consequences and conflicts. Cleopatra and Mark Antony's union caused a great scandal in Rome, where Mark Antony began to be treated as a traitor to Roman values, corrupted by Eastern influence. This perception contributed to the decline of Rome's support for his government and culminated in a bloody war against the couple by Emperor Octavian. Mark Antony, after losing the Battle of Actium, was mistakenly informed that Cleopatra had been killed. As a last resort not to become a prisoner of war, Mark Antony committed suicide by injuring himself with his own sword. However, before dying, he was informed that Cleopatra was still alive and asked to be taken to her. He was transported to the mausoleum where Cleopatra was hiding, and there he died in her arms after a brief reunion. After his death, Cleopatra still tried to negotiate with Octavian. She wanted to preserve the throne for her children, but quickly realized that her attempts would be in vain. Determined not to be taken to Rome and exhibited as a war trophy, Cleopatra also chose suicide. The exact manner of her suicide is a subject of debate among historians. The most widespread version is that she allowed herself to be bitten by an asp, a venomous snake. This narrative is reinforced by ancient writings, which mention that Cleopatra carried poison hidden in a comb, besides suggesting that the possibility of a snake bite brought to her room. However, there are also theories that she may have used a poison mixed with her food or drink, considering the logistical difficulty of orchestrating a death by snakebite. In any case, Cleopatra's story is one of a strong, fearless, and very powerful woman. She is an example of someone who knew how to prepare herself and seize opportunities to achieve her goals. And you, do you know any other curious facts about the life of the greatest queen in history? If you like this content, then leave a like on this video to receive the blessings of the Egyptian gods. And if you want to support our humble work, subscribe to our channel to follow the next episodes of the hero's journey. Today we'll stop here. Until next time.